My name's Luisa Smith, as you know, and today I'm going to be talking about my coming-of-age story, or the progress I've made with that so far. It all started when I was in grade 9, about halfway through, when I imagine I was your average egocentric 14-year-old. My main priorities in life were school, friends, boys, and probably the size of my nose. I was really, really shy. I couldn't talk to older people because I had this fear that they wouldn't think I had anything interesting to say. I couldn't see why they'd be in any way interested in talking to me. But as you can see, obviously something has changed because I'm up here talking to all of you. And if there's one thing I can pin this on, it was my involvement with the charity book bridge and the trip I took to Mongolia in 2010. So this is something big. When I started out, all I knew about Bookbridge was that it was a German-based charity that sends books to Mongolia and builds up libraries in Mongolia for the local people. I also knew that they were starting up an ASAP at our school, and that I really, really needed some CAS hours. At first, I wasn't that involved. I was really, really shy, as I said, and it was predominantly really scary grade 11s. So I was a bit shy to say anything. So all I really did was pack books, sort books, and then send them off to Mongolia. And at some point during that time, in those months, they came to me and said, "Would you like to go to Mongolia this summer with the rest of us to help us build up a library?" And I said, oh, that would be all right then. But I never really thought that would happen, to be honest, because why would they want me, of all people? Well, how could I help in any way? But I went with it, and I found myself a few weeks later at a training weekend with all the other people that I would be going to Mongolia with. The youngest, apart from a fellow student, was 10 years older than me, and these people, they were just brilliant. Some of them had travelled all the way around South America just because they could. I have a friend now who lives in a forest in Norway that teaches the local children handicrafts. And they'd all done something amazing with their life, even if they were only 24. And we had to introduce ourselves, and they could say all these brilliant things. They were very modest about it, but they were still brilliant. And all I could say was, I'm a very, very lucky girl who's moved from a small town in England to a small town in Germany, and I'm not really sure why I'm here yet, but I'll figure it out. And they were all vegans or vegetarians, and I thought these were the nicest people I'd ever met. I didn't realise that people this nice existed, but evidently they did, and they were so kind and accepting of me. I was so proud to be there. And then a few weeks later, on August the 1st, I found myself at Berlin-Tegel Airport, saying bye to my family and getting on a plane with these people that I'd known for about 48 hours. Now keep in mind that I think I'm the only person in my family who's ever gone to Asia, and I hadn't even been out of the country besides with my parents, so this was a big jump. It all passed in a blur, really. The 8-hour flight to Ulaanbaatar, the capital, and then the 10-hour night train ride, the bumpy 2-hour bus ride, and then I found myself in Bochum, which is the town where we built up the library. We were staying in a youth hostel, and I was sleeping in a room with about 15 people that I didn't know very well on the floor, but that didn't really sink in for a while. The first thing that really affected me was when we got to this library, which at the time when we began was just a big room with a slightly slanted floor, it's not a bit funny, and another big room packed to the ceiling full of boxes that I somewhat recognised with my handwriting on, which says DE056 or something. But the main moment was when what we hadn't realised was that in the neighbouring room, the building also served as a place for music lessons for local children. And we let them into this room full of boxes, we let them open the boxes, and I will never forget the looks on their faces. They were so happy. And that was when I really noticed just what I got myself into. Because the thing is, over here, we're brought up with books from an early age. We read them before we can even read by our parents. But in Mongolia, a book is something precious, a book is something rare. So the fact that they've got English books there now, even if not all of them speak English, was something really big. So they were running around and they were opening these boxes, taking out all the books that they possibly could, and opening these tiny little baby books even, and just going, dog, cat, person, and all the English words they could pronounce. And I'd never seen people so happy in my life. I was just stunned. So, and then in the next few weeks, or the next week or so, as we began to build up the library, these children really became basically part of my life, because they helped us without even being asked. They helped with the sorting, the unpacking, the shelving, the stamping, and they didn't even need to be bribed with chocolate. They were just lovely people. So after about a week, we finished building up this brilliant library. Oh God, I forgot to do. So yeah, some of the kids, some of the people we were with, this is the process. They were all so enthusiastic. Now, I got to experience a lot of brilliant things besides the building up of the library. I got to experience the local public baths when I hadn't gone for 5 days. I'd gone for 5 days without a shower. I went for 8 days without meat. But I also got to experience some brilliant things, such as a traditional Mongolian picnic, meeting all these wonderful kids, meeting wonderful people in general, the Bookbish people and the local Mongolians. I got to ride a camel, and most importantly, just got to see this completely new and foreign place. Mongolia is probably the most beautiful place I've ever been to. If you go out into the countryside, you'll see that all the towns are tucked into the hills, and all you can see for miles and miles is just green and blue, the sky and the grass. It's gorgeous. So when I came back, I think my mum always goes, and whenever she tells anyone about this, she says, Luisa has changed completely since she came back from Mongolia. And the truth is I have. Otherwise I wouldn't be standing here today. It gave me a million times more confidence, because suddenly I did have something to talk to people about. I had so much to say and too few people to say it to, almost. And I'm so glad that I can be talking about it today, because I just want to get it all out. I felt so inspired by all the people I'd met, and it really, really gave me so much confidence that I began to realise that I could do something myself. For most of my life I thought that I was too small to make a difference, and even if I was just one out of a group of people, I still got to do something really big, and I know that I was making people happy with what I did. People that I don't even know. There are people in Mongolia right now who are maybe reading books that I've sorted and shelved and packed. And that makes me really happy. So what I'm really trying to say is, don't be afraid to do something big. Don't think that you're too small, too insignificant to make a change in the world, even if you're just part of something even bigger like Bookbridge. And I'm not saying that you have to join Bookbridge, but it's a brilliant experience for me, and I don't regret a minute of it. So you might have to do scary things. You might have to do things that you've never done before, like live on tofu and pasta for a week, or take a horrible shower that smells a bit like algae, and spend a day wrapped in sleeping bags and wearing all the clothes possible because it's 19 degrees outside and you're sleeping in a Mongolian yurt. But you'll also get to do brilliant things, amazing things, things that will stun you and that will change your life for the better. And at the end of the day, even if you don't enjoy it, it will give you something to talk about with the big kids. So yeah, don't be afraid, and if anyone's interested, I got a load of cast hours and nobody ever asked for my little record booklet ever again, so it was a trip well spent. Thank you very much.